what do you do to de-stress? Just give me some things that you do to de-stress. And so at the end of the day, you've had the whole week. So now it's Friday. How many of you are had a higher stress level now than than maybe on Monday morning? I guess more people have heart attacks on Monday morning than at 9 o'clock than any other time in the world. I don't know if you knew that, but more people have more heart attacks at 9 o'clock Monday morning. So maybe you're more stressed on Monday, but what do you do? How do you de-stress? So stress, what does stress, what causes stress is the resistance to being who you are, right? Okay, so here we go. Somebody typed in, hi, hey Sinsen, I use meditations from class and the bowls in the background about all day long. Woohoo! Because that's actually what we're going to talk about today. Thanks, Sin. So that's one amazing. I mean, we do the crystal bowls and meditations, and that's actually, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. What else do you use? What else do you do to de-stress? And I put in there, I said, how long after a long day of work does it take you to totally relax without alcohol? So I'd say that the average person is using alcohol as a method to de-stress from the day. The problem is that stress is developed by being unconscious to what you actually are being called to do, right? So anytime the universe says, hey, let's go this way, which it does 24 hours a day, never stops. It says, let's go this way. Oh yeah, and this way, and let's go that way. And you're like, no, this way, because I know this is the way to go. And whenever you are so sure of what you ought to be doing, the universe is going wham, 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 wham. And you're like, wow, I can't believe those people were yelling at me like that. I can't believe this happened to me. I can't believe that all these things are going on in my life. It's just crazy, and it's so stressful. And we argue about things all the time because you're just wrong. Right? You're arguing with people about stuff because you're just wrong. The reason the universe is arguing with you is because it wants to remind you that you're wrong about what you're doing, and you are resisting what the truth is. The truth is that there's a truth that's being formed in each moment, and you're flowing with it, and your chakras are open to that. So when you vow, we talked about vows and the chakras and how important not vowing against your life purpose. And by the way, I always remind you all, if you haven't read my book, Discover Your Purpose. Okay, it's discoveryourpurposebook.com. Discoveryourpurposebook.com. You can buy the book on there, or you can go to Amazon and buy the book. But if you go to discoveryourpurposebook.com, you will get some wonderful video and some like a keynote speech that I gave about the profiles. Incredibly helpful when you're reading the book. But in this book, it teaches you how to come out of resistance in your life and recognize that the big vow we made was to try to not be who we truly are. It's like, for me, being a creative idealist was like, I came in the world as guys are guys, and they should be tough and strong, and they should be athletic, and they should be all these things. And I was okay with those things. I had a few chakras that did that. And so I focused my whole life on that guy, on being that drive. And of course, that means I'm always in resistance to my life. That means I'm always rejecting, vowing. That's why I created the vows. This idea of the vows in the chakras. So when someone says you have a blocked chakra, right? When they say you have a blocked chakra, what you actually are doing is, when someone has a blocked chakra, it's not because of the event. It was like, oh, you have a blocked chakra because you were abandoned. No, you have a blocked chakra because you vowed in that chakra. And it could be an abandonment is going to affect all your chakras, right? First chakra, abandonment would mean I vow to always be there for my family. Second chakra would be I vow to always care and be connected and never abandon anybody emotionally. Third chakra can be I vow to always be the kind of person that would never betray anybody. So every wound in a chakra is a vow. Okay, it is a vow you make, and oftentimes, remember, when you are below the age of 3, right, or 4, where most of your development actually happens, where most of your vows actually are created in lower chakras, they're created completely unconsciously. And so bringing some conscious back to that is very, very important. But keep in mind, there's only so much therapy you can do on your lower chakras, right? The biggest part about your lower chakras is you got to let them live again, right? You can't just process them and like your brain's like, oh, well, we better think about this, we better do this, and let's get rid of it. Yes, we have to do that. Yes, but the easiest way to open a lower chakra is to live like this is it. This is the moment. It's like, this is the greatest thing in my life. That's how you open the lower chakras. So you're living this life that's in resistance. You've got all these vows in your chakra around whatever it is. Every one of those vows resists the flow of life. And so by our nature, if you've got even just 3 vows, and most people have got 10, 20 really good ones, and every one of those things doesn't let you, the universe is trying to move you in the right direction. And you're like, no, I'm not going to go. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. So stress is just a natural part of not having any idea who you are. So the first thing you got to do is find out who you are. Get my book. Do not mess around. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get the book. Do that. All right. Now, so then when you're doing that, you're still stressed because those hardwired vows are in your nervous system, especially since they were developed below the age of 3, it's all pre-verbal. You weren't even thinking this stuff. It was just a feeling that you were like, and it was like a pull away from that feeling or a demand for that feeling. Whatever you decided to do you're not even thinking it. Lower chakras, you can't think your way through the lower chakras. They're just, you got to be conscious of what's going on in there, and then you got to make the choice what it actually really wanted. And the only way you really know what your chakras are going to want is by knowing your profile, right? Okay. All right. So really key, you can't figure out your chakras until you figure out your purpose. All right. You can figure out how a chakra is broken. Oh, you got a blocked chakra right there. But why is it blocked? How is it blocked? What's the vow in that chakra? Because my heart chakra will close itself for a very different reason than the way yours does. Okay. So here is actually the coolest thing. And we're actually going to do it today. Here's what's really cool about de-stressing. So the best way to de-stress is to do one thing. Find out what your soul's tone is. Okay, so that's weird, right? Your soul has a note. Like musicians, they like to compose in one note more than all the others. It's like, and then they're like, oh, I'm an F sharp guy, or I'm a this. And if you ask a really good musician, they will say, yeah, there's one note that I've always loved to compose in. That's the central element. Well, a musician has obviously worked a lot with sound, and so they find that sound, even though sometimes they're programmed to do other things and learn other ways. So the 7 chakra notes, which are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, and that's how they work, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, all the way up to the 7th chakra, the 7th chakra being B. And then the in-between notes, which are the spiritual centers, and those are the levels that represent spirit in your life. And one represents your life purpose, like the Hara line, like the martial artist train, and that's the physical life purpose, which is the C sharp. And then there's the soul seat, which is just above the heart, and is the doorway. Actually, the life purpose is the soul seat. Is the spiritual life purpose point. It's where your contracts are. And then you've got the aha point, which is right at the base of the skull, where it's the enlightenment point. And those 3, and so this is the F sharp, and this is the G sharp, and then you have the D sharp, which is the soul point, which is right in the very center of your body. If you could put your body on like a turntable and spin it, and find the very central point, that's where the soul radiates from, and that's a D sharp. And then you've got the A sharp, which is actually the pineal gland, where we perceive. Where right now you're perceiving me as a solid form, but it's not. You're actually perceiving life, right? I am moving particles around in the universe, and so this life force within me is making this thing appear real. Okay, and very similar to the screen that you're watching. It's not actually happening there, right? All of this stuff are just like little blips of light that are going across and making it appear real. Well, that's what each person is as well. And when you perceive the life force behind all the particles moving around, That's what counts. All the particles are just make you an object. All right, so little chakra theory there. And so each of those notes make up one octave of sound. So our energy field is one octave of sound. And it's like a symphony. And sometimes it's a cacophony when it's like not coordinated, when the heart isn't open, the rest of them are just yelling at each other. It's like the higher self is going, I hate you, lower self, and lower self is going, get away from me. And everybody, they're all bad children. And the heart is the only one that goes, oh, children, pay attention and be nice. I love you, higher self. You're so good and so connected, and I love you, lower self. You're so perfectly selfish and individual, and taking care of me and keeping me alive. I love you. And the heart's able to do that sort of stuff. And so that's just a little, once again, some sidetracking there. But all of those things, each one of them have a note, have a sound, and depending upon what kind of person you are, and of course, knowing your purpose will help you a lot figure out what it is. So if you're a super doer, like a knowledgeable achiever, your favorite note may be the E of the third chakra because you are a doer, or you are a creative idealist and your big one is 6 and 7. It's like, I love the B, the seventh chakra. It's like, whoa, it's wide open for me. And if you're an emotional intelligence specialist, it may be the second chakra or the fourth chakra, but those sounds are not things that your brain gets to pick. Okay, you have to feel them. And so what we're going to do, and I sell on my website. I actually put it on on this page and also on the page to get here. It is called the 12 Chakra Tones CD. Okay, very simple. Just the 12 tones of all of these. So all 12 of those things I just described, the 7 chakras, the 5 spiritual centers, they're on here. They're in there. They're all those little chakras are in there. All right. So now what you do when to use this, if you want to find your tone, you do this. Take the CD out of the box, or you download this online, and the CD is $12 and the download is $10. And you take it, and I have my little Bose stereo over here, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it fine. And you are going to take it and you're going to stick it in the system, or you're going to put it on your iPod separately, all 12 of those tones separately. Then you want to go to your play mode and hit shuffle. That way, it'll come up with a different note out of the 12. It'll be any of the 12, right? So it'll be any of the 12 notes will come up. So your brain can't get involved. You see, your brain is really incapable of doing anything spiritual. It does everything practical. It does everything, in some solid, sort of structured way. It thinks in structure, but it ultimately is incapable of doing anything in a real way spiritually. Your feelings, on the other hand, your heart, and all of the other chakras, and really most of the 6th chakra. Keep in mind that thinking. So let's say this is the size of the 6th chakra, right? Okay, if you got a pretty good size 6th chakra right there. Okay, all right. This much of that chakra is what is thinking. We make this much of who we are energetically the whole thing. That's why we suffer. That's why we have stress. That's why we need this right here. Because when you listen to your note, it helps you remember your soul. And your soul has never been stressed. Never. Not even for a second. And you can listen to it for a minute and you will just come right back down to, oh yeah, life is good. And it'll bring you back to the energy, the kind of energy that lives your life purpose. Because all the energy that lives in your stressful life is not living your purpose. That is not your purpose. That's just your survival skills. Okay? All right, so this is how it works. So you press play, okay? And you listen to that bowl. So let's listen. I'll turn it up here a little bit. So just let that in. So this is just one of the 12 gateways that I call them, 12 chakra gateways.
Chakra 1, middle C.
Okay, so you hear it at the end of that? So I played that one for the whole minute. And each one is 1 minute long. Okay, and at the end of it, so you're going to need 12 minutes to do this entire meditation, right? So it's going to shuffle this now. So when it goes to the next one, it's going to go to some other, somewhere else in there. And so that was the first chakra, and it was said chakra 1, middle C. So it tells you what the note is, and it tells you what chakra it is. So at the end of that, you're totally feeling it's like, wow, that felt great, or you're just like, yeah, it was okay. So this is the primary way to use this CD is to find your best tone. All right, so that's number 1. All right, so let's go to another one, right? So that was 1. All right, so now it shifts. And now it went to bowl number 5. Who knows what that one is? So now we're totally just doing that. And I'll run through a few of these right now without getting to them. Okay, just so we're not going to take all afternoon doing this, let's go to the next one. All right, so that one was number 5. Okay, and that was number 10. Okay, I think you got the idea. Isn't that cool? So when you are playing this, you play through all 12. So you take your morning meditation is, you play through all 12. And every time you notice one, it'll say at the end of each one, it'll say what it is. So the first one was the first chakra, second one was the 5th chakra. So you never have to open your eyes. At the end of each tone, it'll say, like it did on the first one, chakra 5, G, note of G. And then number 10, the last one, then there was number 10, which was the aha point. That was the enlightenment point. Okay, so that was the third bowl, and then the 4th bowl we played was back to the 3rd chakra, which is the note of E, and then by the way, this was the G sharp. So it doesn't, what they are, their note or where they are is something you don't even want to concern yourself with. It's just feel them. Because you won't know, as it's random, you won't kind of be able to remember, oh, well, that's a this or that. Unless you're a trained musician, then you're in trouble because you're already thinking, well, these things aren't actually true tone. I mean, these bowls are a little off key, and, then you're worried about that stuff rather than how it makes you feel. So let them just have you feel. And when you feel, great. And for each of the profiles, each of the Discover Your Purpose profiles, you will have a completely different kind of energy. So a charismatic leader is going to have some sort of deep sort of either peace or power or expanded or something, and everybody's different, some people float, some people do. It's like whatever your soul sort of connects you with. So each of those do it. Then you want to do that for at least, at least 10 days in a row or a number of times a week for a number of weeks. So you're not just sort of like the very first time saying, oh, well, that's my favorite bowl. That must be my best one. Take your time, listen to it over and over again. Use this as a ritual meditation. Okay, so this is the first part of it is allow yourself to use those bowls to find this core trait. Then you go back on my web and you can get an hour-long version of that note, because in that same section where these 12 notes are all of the tones. And so then you want to get the hour-long version. What do you do at the end of the day or in your car on the way home from work? Put that note in. That's what the students do. That's what Sinsen was saying. She was saying that she listens to the bowls to de-stress, because it's incredibly de-stressful when you're reconnecting to what's not stressful in you, right? But when you think you're your brain and you're this and your actions and all these things that are working against the flow of life, they're never going to let you de-stress. They're going to be constantly hooked by external reality. So we got to get back to the internal reality that's totally de-stressed. Now, so the last thing I want to tell you with this, which is once you know your tone, great. But then you want to do the exact same thing, and then you start feeling every bowl. And as you learn the chakra theory, and I will also, there's also a great program on there, the 12 Gateways to Your Life Purpose, where I teach the foundation of what, that's also on the RhysThomasInstitute.com website, where I teach the foundations of the chakras. When you understand what each chakra means, you can feel, and every one of those bowls are going to tell you how your day is going to go, right? It's going to tell you what's already happening. Every one of your chakras is already connected to what's about to happen in the day. And so you are going to be able to, it's like doing divination cards. It's like you're turning over your archetype card or your tarot card or your animal card for the day or your angel card. It's like, what's my day going to be like? Well, this is so much better because it's not some dumb card. It is your energy body is telling you, these are the cards you're being dealt today. Whoa, what are you going to do with that? So you might be getting ready to have a big meeting, and you're going to feel the fourth chakra, which normally is your favorite bowl. It's feeling like it's like this whole constriction, or the fifth chakra is like, right? And so like, oh, wow, my chakras are already trying to shut down, causing stress in my life. So you can use that. This one CD can change your life. Let me just get it right on here. This one CD. It can de-stress you, and it can give you the guidance you need every day to totally be on top of your day, on top of your consciousness, on top of your life. What do you think about that? Is that the coolest thing? That is the best way to do. Why do you think I'm so happy all the time? Listen to my crystal balls, right? I'm listening. It's like it, and I know when I can feel now when I'm starting to constrict myself. I use that liberating anger energy. And by the way, anger, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. Anger energy is like when in spirituality, they have to come up with these cool names for things like Kundalini. Well, Kundalini is just anger, right? It's just anger. It's stuck energy in the chakras. What's stuck energy in the chakras? Anger. It's like, God, don't do that to me anymore. And it's going to be like, ugh. That's why Kundalini energy can be so disorienting, because when it comes up, right, you go, when it's like a volcano, and you're like, I'm having a Kundalini experience. No. You actually experience pure anger, and you don't know what to do with it because it isn't even in our culture. So better than letting all stuff all build up, 12 chakra tones. Listen to them. Find the one that de-stresses you, brings you back, the central note that makes all the other ones come into balance. That's the first thing you have. And play that constantly in the background whenever you're at work, in your car, at home. Just do it. But while you're meditating, while you're healing, anything you want to do better, play that tone. And you may find that there's 2 or 3 that are really good. Buy them all. Why not? But one of them is going to be your core tone. You want to find that. And then the second thing to do is use these tones as ways that you start assessing and start like if I were a healer, I would want to play these tones and then ask you how you're feeling on each one. And as you tell me one's more stressful than another, that tells me where the work needs to be done, where the polarity, like we're reconnecting. So there's one that feels really good and one feels really bad. Well, that's the polarity type of healing work that you need to do that we would teach you in the school, where you're actually reconnecting those parts of your energy field to each other because somehow they just forgot that they know each other.